Hey guys, GhazzyTV here with another Path of Exile video. I'm going to talk about the state of dot builds and minion builds in general for post patch notes. Essentially, the top 3 minion builds that I think we're going to be seeing in Path of Exile 3.19 Lake of Kalandra will be golems with the insanely buffed Clay Shaper. I also think that we're going to be seeing a lot of poison animate weapon builds as well as absolution. Now, there's a lot of things with these 3 builds that I think we need to bring up to speed for people, and one of the main things I want to talk about is actually the state of dots or dot-generated builds in general, but specifically for minions. And first things first, Reaper, that now supposedly is going to have 7 times the bleed damage, is actually mega nerfed. The reason for this was because back in patch 3.15.0D, they had a modifier that compensated the Reaper because of their hidden penalty to bleed damage to make them deal what they were supposed to be dealing. This penalty is now gone, but so is the buff, which means the Reaper will do approximately the same bleed damage they're doing now as they will do in 3.19. The problem is that they also will be nerfing the damage scaling and HP scaling of the Reaper skill gem to compensate that to modifiers on your gear. The problem is a very long list of problems. So basically, for those of you who gives a shit, I'm just going to leave this text up on screen, and you can read this if you give a shit about the Reaper whilst I talk about the rest. So basically, the builds that we're actually going to be looking into that I think will be really good is Poison Animate Weapon, which I think is going to be meta. I will play for sure. I know that other people in the community, such as Ciceran, is also treating this build as one of our favorite builds throughout the game. And we played this back in the days when it was meta for 6 years ago. However, back in 3.9, somebody figured out and found out that there is a hard cap of how much dot damage you can do on endgame bosses, or what you can do on any target in the game. Problem with this is that with the current state of the game, we can actually achieve these numbers with enough currency invested. This is not a problem for low budget or even medium budget approaches. However, if you want to go crazy with the build, this will limit your capabilities versus certain content, or at least cap your approach to damage output. This cap is actually based of about 2 billion damage over 1 minute, which means that your cap per second for DPS from your poison is hard capped at 35 million, or 35.8 I think it was. This also means that when you're encountering endgame bosses such as Uber bosses, who has a 70% damage reduction to the damage they take, that damage reduction is actually implemented in each step of the calculation in the equation for the damage that you're about to do, which actually limits the dot damage to never be able to do anything above 10 million, I think 10 point something million Shaper DPS. Now, this is obviously sounds pretty bad when you're going in with a super high budget build that you can't do more than 10 million Shaper DPS versus these super endgame bosses. But then again, endgame bosses have about 70 to 75 million HP without the modifiers, of course, which presents you with a situation where a high-end build can kill those bosses in 2 seconds if they reach this cap. However, with a cap versus Uber endgame bosses, those 2 seconds turns into, well, 7 to 8 seconds. Now, that's not really that much to worry about, to be honest, because it's still plenty of damage, but it should be mentioned that because of the game being designed the way it is, at its core, is limiting us in these situations, and it's not going to be an easy fix for them to adjust this. However, it does present us with a possibility for us to actually look into doing more hit damage once we hit the cap with the actual dot cap. Again, this is not something you need to worry about when it comes to the approach of doing damage for the super high-end versions, because this will only be something you need to consider for the super expensive versions of these builds. So again, I believe very firmly that Poison Enemy Weapon will be one of the most played builds, which will be a Necromancer based off our current testings. We're waiting for local identity and the devs behind PUB to fix the update so I can provide you guys with an updated build guide. And I think that Absolution will still remain really, really good, especially with investments and the new Lake of Kalandra modifiers for jewelries to give ourselves tons of negative lightning resistance for the medium and higher budget versions utilizing the Doriani's prototype. I'm actually very excited about that and might play both of them at a pretty high budget before we continue with our usual process of playing low budget builds on the stream. So hope you guys will enjoy that. Golems themselves have a bunch of different things. People are talking about lightning conduit. We also have the possibility of looking into flame golems, but with the clay shaper giving physical damage galore to attacks for golems, clay shapers should be utilized for the things like carrion golems or stone golems, which I'm very excited about, and I think that they can be very, very effective. I also want to point out a little note that a lot of people play the minion builds because of them having alleviating a lot of stress on their wrists, and a lot of people that have wrist issues tend to play these type of builds. And out of these minion builds, I can strongly recommend the golem build to be played for those people that have wrist issues, because it will be very comfortable having permanent minions out on the field. I know this was a really quick video, but I did want to talk about the cap on dot, because that's something we will be encountering for the higher end versions of these builds. But as I said before the patch notes, that I expected Absolution, Golems, and Poison Animate Weapon to be the 3 top minion builds. Those are the 3 top minion builds that I can say we will be playing post patch notes as well. I have a ton of work to do. I'll be updating all the builds and all the guides that I have linked in the descriptions below. Do check them out, and I'm going to be making sure that they will all be updated before the league launch on 3.19 on the 19th of August, this coming league launch. Guys, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe for more content. I saw that on YouTube. We're still having like 32% people are subscribed. So that's like 8% of people watching the videos are not subscribed. So do me a favor, just hit the subscribe button. It helps the channel a lot. Hit the like button, subscribe for more content that's called out, and then leave a comment below what you guys think of the current meta and the state of minions in the game. See you next time. As always, stay safe. Keep rocking.